Welcome back to Ben's Book Club. Today we are diving into the book The Four, The Hidden DNA of Amazon, Apple, Facebook, and Google. In this explainer, we're exploring NYU professor Scott Galloway's sharp, kind of provocative thesis about the companies that quietly colonize our daily lives. Galloway argues that these four giants, well, they didn't just win by having the best software or the fastest processors. No, instead, they completely bypassed our rational, logical brains to literally hack our deepest, most primal biology. Okay, let's dive into this. We tend to view these massive tech conglomerates as traditional business success stories, right? Like triumphs of engineering and coding. But Galloway acts as a whistleblower here. He points out that their true genius actually lies in evolutionary psychology. They exploit ancient human drives at a completely unprecedented speed and scale, backed by cheap capital and visionary storytelling. They don't just sell to us, they plug directly into our nervous systems. Section 1. Hacking Our Primal Instincts, the Biological Moat. Let's see how Galloway maps each of these four tech titans to a specific human organ and deep-seated survival need. And this brilliantly illustrates the whole framework. Look at Google. Google targets the brain, answering our evolutionary need for knowledge, kind of acting as a modern-day oracle. Then you have Facebook, targeting the heart, monetizing our need for tribe and social connection. Now, while Google and Facebook are absolutely fascinating, for the rest of this explainer, we are going to focus tightly on contrasting the bottom two on this list, Amazon and Apple. We really want to analyze the distinct business tactics behind Amazon's relentless growth machine and Apple's premium luxury pricing model. Section 2. Amazon, the growth machine, the stomach. Amazon preys directly on our hunter-gatherer urge to hoard physical goods to guarantee our security. They're the ultimate friction remover for consumption, easing the pain of daily drudgery by making buying easier, faster, and way more habitual. So how do they do it? Well, the secret to their agility is a concept called the OODA loop. Observe, orient, decide, act. It's a framework for relentless customer obsession. Jeff Bezos utilized this to differentiate between type 1 risks, which are, those bet the company irreversible decisions, and type 2 risks, which are just experimental. By acting incredibly fast on type 2 experimental risks, Amazon can iterate, fail, learn, and completely crush slower-moving retail competitors who are just paralyzed by traditional corporate bureaucracy. But speed alone isn't enough, right? Amazon is almost allergic to traditional profit. For years and years, they willingly bled money in the short term to build what Galloway calls analog moats. These are incredibly expensive physical barriers. We're talking massive fulfillment centers, physical logistics networks, and the vast server farms of AWS. While legacy retail was out there trying to maximize quarterly profits, Amazon was quietly reinvesting every single cent into these deep infrastructure moats, choking out any potential rivals before they even knew what hit them. Which leads us to an incredible scale of dominance. Over 100 million Amazon Prime members. That's a massive number. Galloway describes Prime as essentially a powerful loyalty cult. By completely removing the friction of shipping costs, Amazon literally rewires our relationship with instant gratification. Once you're in that ecosystem, your hunter-gatherer instinct is fully satisfied and you rarely look anywhere else. Let's move to and see how this builds a perfect contrast with our next giant. While Amazon relies on low margins, massive volume, and physical infrastructure acting as the stomach, Apple represents a completely different playbook for world domination. Apple is mapped to the reproductive organs, utilizing a business model built on high margins, lower relative volume, brand focus, and pure luxury. Section 3. Apple, the luxury playbook. The digital Rolex. Let's shift gears here because Apple isn't actually a tech company in the traditional sense. It's a timeless luxury powerhouse, the digital equivalent of a Rolex or a Louis Vuitton bag. Apple cracked the code on something that fashion houses spent centuries perfecting, making people feel incredibly special for what they own. Think about it. Technology inherently depreciates. It gets old, it gets slow, and it becomes obsolete very quickly. But luxury? Luxury is timeless. Apple transformed from a counterculture computer company into the ultimate symbol of global elite conformity. By emphasizing simplicity, design, and artisanship, right down to their stores, which are architecturally designed like modern temples, Apple uses the iPhone as a literal status signal. It signals wealth and genetic superiority to attract mates, fulfilling a deeply ingrained evolutionary drive. And that luxury positioning, well, it results in an astronomical 30% profit margin. In the tech hardware space, that is practically unheard of. It's crazy. Apple commands this massive premium purely because owning an iPhone is a status symbol. The halo effect of that one single device pulls you into their entire ecosystem, allowing them to make more profit per phone than many of their competitors make in total revenue. Section 4. The cost of dominance, the societal toll. Now we have to look at the other side of the coin. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is the stark numerical reality of their financial dominance. This immense scale doesn't just exist in a vacuum. Galloway's historical tax rates cited here show Facebook at 4%, Amazon at 13%, while the average S&P 500 company sits around 27%. Galloway points out that these empires utilize vast amounts of public infrastructure, roads, schools, courts, to build their analog moats and businesses. Yet they masterfully use loopholes to avoid standard corporate tax burdens. And the critiques extend well beyond just taxes. Galloway objectively notes the massive job destruction in legacy retail. For every job the four create, they may destroy several others in traditional industries. We also see unprecedented wealth concentration and the complete suffocation of new market innovation. Because these companies control the infrastructure and have endless capital, regulators are constantly struggling to catch up. By the time antitrust laws adapt to a new digital reality, the four have already moved on to dominate the next sector entirely. Section 5. Surviving the Tech Titans, Brutal Career Advice. So what does this all mean for you in your future? Galloway doesn't just leave us with a business analysis. He provides a literal survival guide for navigating this brutal economy. Understanding how these companies operate is absolutely crucial for managing your own career path in a world they actively shape. He warns that in a job market dominated by big tech, it has never been a better time to be exceptional or a worse time to be average. These companies value hyper-efficiency. They rely on small, incredibly elite teams rather than massive average workforces. Because they have captured so much of the economic value, the middle ground is just disappearing. You have to ruthlessly adopt. So the crucial point is to actually execute on this. Galloway offers some very actionable steps here. First, avoid blindly following your passion. Follow your talent instead. Get great at what you're naturally good at and let the success fuel your passion later. Second, prioritize equity over salary, because in the world of the four, real wealth belongs to asset owners, not wage earners. Third, become an A player by cultivating grit, emotional maturity, and extreme ownership. And finally, move to major cities to network strategically, because geography still matters immensely for talent density. As we wrap up this explainer, we're left with a massive looming question. Do these empires need to be broken up by antitrust action to save competitive capitalism? Or is a fifth horseman, perhaps driven by the new wave of AI disruptors like OpenAI or Anthropic, about to step up and displace them naturally? It's a fascinating landscape that is shifting under our feet every single day. Thank you for joining Ben's Book Club for this deep dive. Subscribe so you don't miss an episode.